I've been seeing it well, and that starts, throughout the whole week, watching film, getting there in practice, talking to the coaches, players, and things like that. So I think seeing it well. I think the comfort level of just, like I've talked about before, getting back to playing football and, where I need to be, eyes need to be, getting back comfortable of just having that feel for the game. Obviously, you study, you watch, and do all these other things, but once the ball snaps, you gotta have that post snap read and know what you have to do.
Weekend Warriors. That was Caleb Williams, who is Mr. Weekend Warrior right now. He couldn't miss in London. Matthew completed 23 of 29 for 226 yards, but the 4 touchdowns is what really stood out in this one.
4 touchdowns that, by the way, could have been 5 because DJ Moore gets stopped on like the 6-inch line on a pass from Caleb Williams. He also adds points with his legs, 56 rushing yards, including 1 long run. It's his 3rd game already, though, with 30 or more rushing yards. I think he's running more than people might have thought in the pros. 97% of his passes were on target. Now, he was playing the Jaguars, but still. And they're on a bye this week, but I think Caleb Williams is a borderline top 12 play the rest of the way. He's been terrific over the last 3 weeks, only getting better. It was nice to see him get Keenan Allen involved in this game, as long with Cole Kmet.
Yeah, Cole Kmet caught all 5 of his targets for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. Another quarterback that makes the list, Jay, Bo Nix, completes 19 of 33 for 216, 2 touchdowns. He also rushed 6 times for 61 yards. The rushing makes Bo Nix potentially fantasy viable in Superflex leagues.
Yeah, one of the great dichotomies here between fantasy and real life, because Bo Nix wasn't great, but he gives you the rushing, and that's the key here. He's the number 12 quarterback on the season in fantasy. He's ahead of guys like Kirk Cousins, obviously guys like Trevor Lawrence as well. So Bo Nix, he is a viable Superflex quarterback, like a high-end QB2 with the rushing.
I don't know that I'll go that far. It was comeback mode. I actually think the Broncos defense is pretty good, so because they'll probably be competitive more often than they were against the Chargers. But yes, he is absolutely a QB2. He's QB2 viable for sure.
Yep. He's got the Saints, Panthers, Ravens, and Chiefs. You're probably only going to start him in one of those 4 games.
I just think he's QB2 now, QB12 now on the season, and he should get better as the season goes on in theory. And I don't think the rushing is really going anywhere.
Yeah, against those teams, though, I'm concerned. That's my concern.
A little nervous as well. But just to wrap up Kmet very quickly, since week 3, 19% target share was his highest since week 3. But he now has at least 55 receiving yards in 3 of the past 4, and feels like he's a good part of this offense. I do think Cole Kmet, especially given the position, top 12 tight end the rest of the way.
Yeah.
A.J.
I'm going to retract my high-end QB2.
I think that's right.
We'll allow that.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown also getting it done, Matthew. He caught 6 of his 9 targets, 169 yards. He gets, most importantly, the touchdown.
Yeah, he looked like A.J. Brown, right? On the season, he's averaging 23.5 fantasy points per game. He's had 100 yards and a touchdown in both games this season. We're still waiting for the Eagles to put it all together because Barkley didn't have a great game here, but both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith looked good. Jalen Hurts looked better. It helps when you're playing Cleveland, and it helps when you get A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Lane Johnson back. Let's mention that as well. But yeah, A.J. Brown, right back to being the wide receiver 1 you drafted him as.
Jay, your guy Najee Harris with his best game of the season, over 20 fantasy points, a lot of it on the ground.
Yeah, it's time to sell high on Najee.
Thank you. Exactly.
He only did it on 14 carries. He had the amazing touchdown down the left sideline, but this Raiders team is just broken at the moment. Jalen Warren was back. That's a problem for Najee. If Justin Fields is going to keep his job as well, that's probably bad news for Najee, just in terms of another guy stealing rushing attempts from him. So I would try and sell high now on Najee if you can.
It's fair. I will say their upcoming schedule, they play the Jets next week, then the Giants, bye at Washington. 3 of their next 3 opponents, none of them have great run defenses. So if you can't sell Najee high, I do think he'll be useful. But to your point, Jalen Warren is coming. But that's a team that wants to run, So, and of course, I had to play against Najee. Like the one game he scores. Anyway, don't get me started.
Evan Ingram with the big game in London, Matthew. He caught all 10 of his targets for 102 yards.
Yeah, was also on the hate list. That did not work out well for me as well. I thought first game back, maybe they'll ease him back. No, they certainly didn't. Bears had actually been pretty good against tight ends prior to this, but he led all tight ends in catches and receiving yards in week 8. He's tied for the most targets among tight ends in week 6, 29% target share. Yeah, again, in a game on a team that will be in negative game script almost entirely, it's great to see Evan Ingram come back with a huge game here, 10 for 102. They play the Patriots, the Packers at Philadelphia, home to Minnesota. So a nice schedule for him, given Kame's script. And, yeah, that was great to see. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com. And I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched. Or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.